Hello, everyone. This week's portion is Parashas Ekev in the book of Deuteronomy. So the word Ekev means heel. And supposedly Moses says to the Israelites that in the heel of your heeding the word of God, fortune will befall you. V'haya Ekev tishma'un eis hamishpatim ha'ela. In the aftermath, or in the heel of your heeding of these judgments, V'shamar Yahweh Elohecha lecha es habris v'sechesed asher nishba la'avosecha. Yahweh your God will keep his covenant of kindness that he had sworn to your ancestors. That is the opening of this week's portion. So what I want to talk about is a very interesting concept that I think is lost to not only to virtually all traditional readers of the Torah, but I think it's lost even to ancient Near Eastern scholars, people who supposedly, or at least they should know better, and they should be more familiarized with the milieu that these words were written in, and yet I don't think they are. So let me point out something very interesting here, and that is that people who lived 3,000 years ago did not have any choices in life. They mostly were born in a particular place and time, and they stayed there for the rest of their lives. If you were born, for example, let's say in Chatzer, it's one prominent city in the north, in the Northern Kingdom, what became the Northern Kingdom, well, depending on what era we're talking about, but in 900 BC, this was definitely part of the Northern Kingdom. Okay, so if you lived in Chatzer and you were probably part of a tribe, part of a clan, part of a family, part of a clan, part of a tribe. So there was a certain hierarchy in your status in society. And your role in life was laid out before you. There was no deviation from that role. You grew up on a farm, or possibly you were some sort of herdsman, a shepherd, and that's what you did for the rest of your life. That's what your children will do after you. You will stay there. You will never relocate to any other city. You will stay in Chatzer. You will stay on your ancestral plot of land. Okay, people had an enormous attachment to their land. It wasn't their land, it was their family's land. And in the larger sense, it was their tribe's land. So they didn't have any choices in life. And this isn't just in terms of occupation or where to live, but also in terms of lifestyle choices. Like nowadays, for example, you could choose to buy a Nissan or a Hyundai or a Mercedes. There are a dozen other different brands of different models of cars. When it comes to buying a house or decorating a house, there are endless choices in terms of painting, in terms of decor, in terms of the size of the house. Again, I'm not even talking about location now. Given that you've settled on the location, there's still so many choices, and if you combine all these different permutations, they add up to the millions, if not billions. And these are all realistic permutations, right? And you could do it this way, or you could do it that way. You can have a den, or you can have a foyer. You can have a live-in, a walk-in closet, or you can have something else, and so on. Okay, so fashion, same thing. Like, what are you going to wear today? How often are you going to change? Change clothing? What types of fashion are you going to adopt, and so on. Back then, 2,000 years ago, 2,500 to 3,000 years ago, these choices were not available. None of these choices were available. Everything was set for you. Now, why is this important? Why is this relevant to this week's portion? Because because the approach that we see here is actually also very, very notable. Nowadays, there are very few entities, there are very few sources of authority that will tell you, on the one hand, if you heed my voice, if you listen to me, if you obey me, then things will be good. However, if things go bad, if you don't obey me, things will go bad. You will almost never hear this. Most, 100% of marketing pitches that you'll see on TV, in a magazine, on a billboard, whatever, is buy this product or service and things will go well. But there's no threat, right? There's no threat. And by threat, I mean the person making the person providing that service is not saying that if you don't buy this, I'm going to punish you, right? Sometimes they'll motivate you by saying, oh, if you don't buy me, that, like, for example, let's say I'm selling antivirus software, right? So I'm saying that if you don't buy the software, you'll be struck by virus, right? But not that I'm going to do it, right? That would be absurd if a company would say, if you don't buy my software, then I'm going to infect you with a virus, right? However, in the ancient Near East, this is exactly the type of speech that you could hear from sources of authority. And this is how God spoke to people. It's either you're with me all the way or you're not. There are no shades of gray. There are no choices. It's either absolute obedience to God, or you're completely outside. You lose all protection and you're going to suffer hell on earth. So you have this either good or bad, and there's no in between, no shades of gray. So this is very unique to the mentality of the people living in that particular era. So that's one thing that I wanted to note. The other thing I wanted to say is that there are several terms that repeat in Deuteronomy. La'ahava es Yahweh Elohecha, to love Yahweh your God. Le'yira, to fear Yahweh your God. La'avdo, to worship him, to serve him. Okay, so those three terms occur very often. And I just wanted to note that, in my opinion, there are certain specific meanings for these words. They're just not just then, and they're not construed in the same way that we construe those words, like love, as in perhaps amorous love, or constantly being infatuated with a person, or something like that. That's not what it means here. It has a certain technical meaning in terms of the relationship that a subject forms with his lord, a vassal with his lord. So in terms of a vassal-lord relationship, the word ahava, the word love, means that the vassal is saying, I love you, my lord, and I hitch my wagon to you. All the blessings that I have are only because your welfare is secured. If you're doing well, then I'm doing well. If you're doing poor, if you're doing bad, then I'm doing bad. So ahava here means that I'm saying that I'm going to follow you and I'm going to serve you so that I can accrue material benefit and security in life. That's ahava. Yira is the flip side of this, which is to say, I am going to do or not do a certain thing because if I don't, then I will suffer the consequences. That's fear. I'm afraid. You're so powerful that if I don't worship you, if I don't do the right thing, you're going to strike me. You're going to be vindictive and punish me for that. So that's the yira. And avoda is just in general what you do. In other words, either if you're doing it out of love or out of fear, you're still doing the same thing, which is worshiping your Lord, your sovereign, your suzerain. So we're doing either, so we worship God, avodah, we serve him, either out of love or out of fear. If we serve him out of love, it means we do or don't do something in order to acquire bounty, in order for things should go well for us. And if we do or don't do something out of fear, it means that we're doing it because we want to avert punishment. Thank you for watching. I hope you appreciate it. Bye-bye.